of offering classes with Building for Your Future. I'm Terry Ludwig, President of Shawnee Community College. It is my pleasure and privilege to welcome all of you here on behalf of the Shawnee Community College Board of Trustees, faculty, administration, and staff. This is a day we've long awaited. We are here today to celebrate 30 years of helping students achieve their educational objectives and the beginning of our new building project. To start, I would like to quote an old southernmost Illinois adage passed on to me by Dr. Manuel Goins. He said that we all drink from wells that we did not dig. On the platform and in the audience today, we have platform guests and distinguished attendees who helped dig the well that Shawnee Community College has become for its students and community. I would like to recognize, first of all, to my right, Illinois' First Lady, Laura Lynn Ryan. And I would like us all to hold our applause as we recognize the entire platform group. To my left is Mr. Steve Heisner, chairman of our board, and his wife Heather, who's in the audience. Steve began serving on the board in 1991. To my right, our Dr. and Mrs. Manuel Goins. Manuel began serving on the board in 1993. To my left is Ms. Maxine Russell. Ms. Russell began serving on the board in 1993. To my left also is Bill Whitnell and his wife Frida. Bill began serving on the board in 1995. To my left also is Dr. Richard Trampy and his wife Catherine. Dr. Trampy began serving on the board in 1997. To my right is Mr. Wesley Wright, who began serving on the board in 1989. And to my left is our student trustee, Ms. Ruth Waddy. Let's have a round of applause for them. We are also privileged today to have the past presidents of Shawnee Community College here in the form of our founding president, Dr. Lauren Klaus, and his wife Norma, to my left. And to my right, Dr. Jack Hill. I also recognize at this time my wife Diana. Diana? We have previous board members on the platform. To my right, the Reverend Scott Harner, who served from 1985 to 1991. To my right, George and Flora Hellman, George served from 1978 to 1987. And to my left, Delano and Betty Mowry. Delano served from 1970 to 1989. From the political sphere, we're pleased to have today, to my right, Representative James Fowler, Representative Larry Bullard, well, to my left. Welcome, Larry. Representing Senator Fitzgerald's office, Sarah Daniels, to my left. And to my left, representing himself is Bob Winchester, Deputy Chief of Staff for Governor Ryan. Bob? Among the visiting presidents and guests that we have Dr. John Jackson, Interim Chancellor of SIUC at Carbondale. We have Dr. and Mrs. Ben Cullers from Southeastern Community College. Okay? We have Dr. Joe Siffel, President and CEO of the Illinois Community College Board, to my left. We have Gary Davis, Executive Director of the Illinois Community College Trustees Association, to my right. Dr. Hazel Locks, the Deputy Governor of Education and Workforce, is also to my right. To my left is Ron Holstein from the Capital Development Board, our project manager. Also to my left is Libby Rager, who's President-elect of the Illinois Community College Faculty Association and Division Chair. And to my right, we have the special guest, Mr. Clyde Schopp. Clyde Schultz received the Congressional Medal of Honor in 1944 for his actions, and he is one of the original legislators who wrote the Illinois Community College or Public Junior College Act, which makes this all possible. Clyde? In the audience, I'm going to first of all say a special thanks to John Newell from Marion Pepsi for donating the drinks this morning, and to Curtis Jones from Dippin' Dots for our desserts. We have several SCC retirees in the audience. Stan Gerard and his wife Vanda. We have Rosalie Hennessy. John Sheldon. Bernard Spurlock and his wife Lila. Martha Van Cleave. And Joel Jennings. From our foundation, we're pleased to have Darrell Clark, our president, George Femmer, also representing EEI, the Electric Energy Incorporated, Darrell Ferguson, Gary Herod and his wife Nancy, Mike Meisenheimer, Mike Stagel, also representing First Cellular, and Scott Wilkins, also representing First National Bank of Jonesboro. From the southernmost Illinois Delta Empowerment Zone, we have Donna Reynolds, Director, Bob Reichert, President, Ursula Pike, Ed Britton, who's also the Mayor of Mounds, and Willard Murray. Pleased to welcome you all. From the building project itself, we have John Crawford and Don Scoot from John Crawford and Associates, who are doing the parking lot. We have Marcy Garrett and Janice Porter from the Capital Development Board. We have James Morgan from Morgan Construction. We have Marion Pogus, John Parkins, Thad Heckman, Ben Howard, and Ed Fitzgerald from Image Architects Incorporated. That's formerly Garrison Jones, which are the architects for our project. We have John Price from Laborers Local 773. Thank you for attending. Other guests I want to recognize just briefly are Cindy Benefield of the Southernmost Illinois Tourism Bureau, Andrea Brown, Regional Superintendent of Schools, Steve and Rita Crane of Crane Enterprises, Mike Farrell and Janet Moses of the Shawnee Development Council in Karnak, Jim Gage and Sally Dumas of USDA Rural Development in Tams, David Gold and his wife Sandra from the Anna National Bank, David's president, Glenn Hall and Marion Teckenbrock from USDA Rural Development, Marguerite Hills, Gene Hinkle, Liz Jones, and Al Navarre from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services' Cypress Creek Refuge, Miles and Jenny Hartman from Mounds. Jenny's a member of our Private Industry Council, Nancy Holt and Teresa Gilbert from the Southern Health Department, Joel Jennings and Crystal McDonald from Midwest Planning Associates, Dan Curley from First Cellular of Anna, Terry Larves from Electric Energy Incorporated, Ron Medlin from Southern Illinois Electric Cooperative, Mary Oldham from Southeastern, Jerry Reppert and Jerry Reppert also represents the Southernmost Illinois Prison Committee, which will have hearings this week from Reppert Industries, Kathleen Trampy, Unit District 100 Superintendent, and Travelstead from Cherry Insurance, Dr. Marlise Trover, who is the Vienna High School District Superintendent, Jim Bales of John A. Logan, Vice President of Business Services, and Becky Bueller, who is the former secretary to Bill Whitnell, who's here in our audience. And lastly, in the audience we have Leah Keogh, who's my mother-in-law. It's my privilege now to introduce Dr. Joe Siffel. In 1997, Joe Siffel was appointed to be the president and CEO of the Illinois Community College Board. He has been a spark plug for the emergence of the Illinois Community College system as a major player in post-secondary education. Under Dr. Siffel's leadership, the Illinois Community College system has grown and received a great deal of recognition. Dr. Siffel served as president of Belleville Area College for 9 years, as school district superintendent in Belleville, as a school principal, and as an elementary school instructor. Dr. Siffel holds a PhD in educational leadership from St. Louis University. Dr. Siffel and his wife Linda reside in Springfield, Illinois. When I started as president of Shawnee Community College, Joe Siffel was the president of the Illinois Council of Community College Presidents. We were sorry to lose him in that role, but he went on to a much more important role as the president and CEO of the Illinois Community College Board. It's a pleasure to present Dr. Joe Siffel.
Good afternoon, and what an absolutely magnificent day this is. I mean, the sun is literally shining here at Shawnee, and I think, folks, you can all be so very proud. And I certainly want to this afternoon congratulate the Board of Trustees, both current as well as past members, for your leadership, for your commitment, for your vision, and for your courage. And to President Ludwig and the past presidents, the leadership that you've given is obviously outstanding, and we can look right here and know the impact that Shawnee is having. And to the members of the faculty and the staff, in particular your students, congratulations to all of you. You know, community colleges are not simply a place, but rather community colleges are a process by which we empower, we enable, we energize, we elevate, we equip. And it's exciting. And to these members of the Illinois General Assembly, Representative Fowler, Representative Bullard, and certainly Representative Schultz, the commitment that you've given to education and to community colleges, we are most appreciative. This is the 30th anniversary of this outstanding institution, and obviously new and expanded buildings going on. And folks, it's very special. Do you realize at this point in time that the Illinois Community College system, the Shawnees of Illinois, are the major provider of higher education access within our great state? Today, over 60% of the students enrolled in Illinois public higher education are enrolled in Shawnee and the other 39 community colleges of Illinois. And folks, that didn't happen by accident. That happened by commitment and hard work of the very people that I've mentioned. And it's truly exciting. And I would tell you that it's going to be the Illinois Community College system that literally carries us into this new millennium. You know, the United States Department of Labor is telling us today, right now, that 85% of the jobs out there are going to require access to post-secondary education. If you think our community colleges have been important in the past, folks, we've only just begun. And it's truly an exciting time. And I certainly want to congratulate your president, Terry Ludwig. Folks, you have a real leader in President Ludwig. Shawnee Community College has become one of the major providers of higher education via technology and its relationship and interrelationship with the delivery of instruction. Terry Ludwig has made certain that community colleges in Shawnee are a major provider in workforce development. And I'm proud to tell you that Shawnee was the only community college district within the system to receive a Gear Up grant, a $1.7 million grant to provide opportunities and partnerships between the elementary, secondary schools and the community college. I think we owe Terry a great round of applause. Sitting over here, and Libby Rager was mentioned before. Folks, do you realize that your faculty member here at Shawnee will become president of all of the faculty of all of the community colleges in Illinois? That's your own Libby, and we need to thank her. And folks, I think a mighty powerful statement is being made this afternoon when the First Lady of our great state comes to join in this wonderful celebration. You and I both know the demands that are placed upon our governor and his wife, and for Mrs. Ryan to be here today talks about a great commitment that Mrs. Ryan has to education. You may notice on her lapel, you will see children first. And boy, that's a powerful statement for this state's First Lady to walk around with. Let's thank Mrs. Ryan. And now it's my pleasure to introduce to you this afternoon the first Deputy Governor for Education and Workforce Development and Education, and that is Dr. Hazel Louts. And Dr. Louts is certainly no stranger to this region. As you know, she was an assistant professor here at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, in higher education and educational administration. She also was the director of education for the Illinois Education Association, and she's been a principal, a teacher, and even a superintendent. She's worn all the hats, folks, and what a great leader we have as the Deputy Governor for Education, and she's made herself totally accessible, and we need to know she's a great friend of community colleges. It's with pleasure that I introduce to you the Deputy Governor for Education and Workforce Development, Dr. Hazel Louts.
After Joe, I always feel like I need to be an evangelistic minister to get up and follow Joe. So I just want to say it's a real pleasure to be here today. It's wonderful that you arranged this weather for us, and it is wonderful to see all the construction going on and to celebrate 30 years of a very fine institution. And we hope that there will be many, many more years of celebrations for Shawnee Community College. Its service is a real need in this region, and when Governor Ryan asked me to be the Deputy Governor for Workforce and Education, he gave us, his administrative group, a very clear mission, and that is that we provide for Illinois the best training for the people in Illinois available anywhere, and that we work with employers to make sure that there are plenty of jobs in Illinois for the economic development of Illinois. That's no easy task because Southern Illinois has had a lot of job loss over the years, and so it is a much harder mission when we come to this part of the state to say, how are we going to make sure that the young people that grow up here have a place to work when they finish school and when they want to remain in their area. And so that is a real mission for us, is to try and make sure that the employers and the employees' needs of this state are met, and that we know that Shawnee Community College has a major role to play in that, the governor's vision. So I am not here to speak today. I'm here to have the golden opportunity to introduce a wonderful First Lady from Illinois, Laura Lynn Ryan. And I would just like to say she does have children as her mission. She has a program called Futures for Kids, and it is just in its infancy stages. But from day one of meeting Mrs. Ryan, who I'd never met until I became a part of the governor's staff, I learned that not only is she a mother and a grandmother of 13, but a person who's highly committed to the well-being of children in Illinois. So it gives me a real pleasure to introduce the First Lady of Illinois, Laura Lynn Ryan. I have a speech here, but I must tell you, I'm delighted to be with our legislators, Clyde Schote, and I go back more years than I care to recall right now. I don't know about you, Clyde. But it's wonderful to be down here in Southern Illinois. I'm not going to use my speech. Joe has done a wonderful job, and I'm basically the cheerleader for the state of Illinois. That's what I consider my role. I get all these great opportunities, and people ask me to serve as chairman and co-chairman and those kinds of things, and then I sit back and watch all of you do all this wonderful work. You're all to be commended. I am thrilled to be here. It's an honor to be asked. George was very, very disappointed that he could not be here.
he is here in heart and spirit. He will be down here at the Des Moines Fair the rest of the week, off and on traveling all over Southern Illinois. But you are all to be congratulated, and to you students, I just can't say enough good things, because you're what makes this college run. And to Dr. Ludwig and everyone else here, thank you all for doing the jobs that you do. That's what makes our state so great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, First Lady Laura Lynn Ryan, Dr. Hazel Alex, and Joe Siffel for your remarks on this special day. Now let's set the stage for 30 years ago. From the 1969 facts book, we know that the Dow Jones average was at 969. Today it's 11,090. That a new house cost $15,500. That the average income in Illinois was $8,547. That a new car cost $3,200. That a gallon of gas was 35 cents. That minimum wage was $1.60. That Richard Nixon was inaugurated as the 37th president and Spiro Agnew was his vice president. And that the fifth dimension was singing Aquarius, Let the Sun Shine In. Coming from this background, let's take a look at the way we were in 1970. I'd like to present William Whitnell, Assistant Secretary of the Board and Charter Administrator. Bill?
Thank you very much. First, let me tell you how pleased that I am to be here speaking to you today on Shawnee College's behalf. I have seen Shawnee College develop as an administrator since January 15, 1969, when I was hired as Dean of Students, Personnel Services, related activities, and other assigned positions, which were numerous. As you may know, Shawnee Community College was organized as a Class I community college in September of 1967. At that time, elected were the first Board of Trustees in December of 1967. And that board hired its first pipe-smoking president. That was Dr. Lorne E. Kloss, and Dr. Kloss and Norma, it's certainly pleasant to see you here today. It's always good to see you and talk to you. These first steps were necessary to get students here. Our first classes were offered in the fall of 1969 quarter, when we filled 2,555 seats in the 113 course sections that were offered. We had approximately 495 students, full-time equivalencies, enrolled for the first quarter. The first quarter of classes came as a result of a lot of personnel recruiting in the high schools of our district. Ella DeJarna and I visited all of the high school districts. We visited each student personally. At that time, we recruited many students, and one of them was Wesley Wright. We're pleased that he is now serving on the board. Incidentally, while I'm talking about the board members, I'll just put this in at this time. All of the 7 board members that we have now on the Shawnee Community College Board, all of them have taken classes here at Shawnee Community College. Our goal was to create a warm, personal environment that every student could enjoy learning in and stay in until they finished their degree program. One thing that did help us was that our tuition was low, and Dr. Ludwig, I'll tell you of this now. It was $1.88 per quarter hour, or $2.50 per semester hour in today's terms. Shawnee College was nearby. It had the needed programs and was low cost. Those are the very advantages that it still holds today. I can recall that in those days we attracted 75% of the Alto Pass High School graduating class. That is, we got 3 of the 4 seniors. My secretary at that time gave me those figures, and Becky, I appreciate that very much. And recruiting these students, we had the highest student retention throughout the graduation of any community college at that time. When classes began, we were housed in the temporary buildings that you see to my left. The main campus was constructed in 1976, and I was appointed as director of the building project and contact person. And my secretary, Becky, will still say unkind things about the many trips that we had come over here to supervise the construction of this building in front of us. Shawnee College has always been fortunate to have a fine board of trustees, has had an outstanding staff, excellent faculty members, fine students, and that's the reason that it is what it is today. After I retired from Shawnee College and came back several years later as a member of the Board of Trustees in 1995, I was very pleased to see the planning progressing on of what became the building program that we are celebrating today. As I look forward to our new parking lot and the plans shown us what the Educational Center will allow us to do, I'm excited about the potential release to the students and staff of this college. We are ready for the 21st century. I'm proud to have been a part of Shawnee Community College's past and the present. I look forward to its future. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to present Mr. Wesley Wright. Wes is the current member of the Board of Trustees, a former chairman, and was a student in 1969.
Thank you, Dr. Ludwig. It is truly a pleasure to stand before you today as we celebrate our 30th anniversary and the beginning of our building project. And I also want to thank, and I keep wanting to say Dean Whitnell. In 1969, we always called him Dean Whitnell, and now it's Bill Whitnell, and I slip once in a while, but I want to thank you for not telling the story about the hitchhiking back and forth from Hoops. So your check will be in the mail for that. Let me just make a couple comments, if I may, and I'm sure there are people out here that'll fit these credentials. Are there any class members present that attended the first classes in 1969? Would you stand, please? Anybody here? Oh yeah, there's Mike. Okay, there are a couple out there. How about faculty members that were instructors during the first classes in 1969? Would you stand, please? I know there are several of you. Oh yeah. And I'm sure I'm going to leave someone out, but the ones that I know that I had personal contact with, and they may not even remember me, because I grew about 6 inches in about 3 years. So Dale Bishop, George Floyd, Joel Jennings, John Shelton, Morton Wright, Bill Whitnell, Gene Cross, H.C. Lawrence, John Sams, Martha Van Cleve. These are all people that in some way, some form or another, touched our lives and made us a better person. As I look up to my left, and as you look to your right, you'll see what we referred to as the Rusty Campus. And we respectively called it Plywood Tech. In fact, there were a couple of us from Anna Jonesboro that decided that we were not going to go to Plywood Tech. So we went up, and I think I did see Ben Cullers earlier. We were going to go up to Southeastern and enroll. So we went up there and rented an apartment, and we lasted about a week because we were attending classes in a high school before their building project was underway, and we didn't want any part of that either, so we came back down to Plywood Tech, and it's absolutely the best thing that I've ever done in my life. I just want to tell you that Shawnee Community College gave people a great start in life. As I look at the Rusty Campus, as I mentioned before, we as the board have decided to continue to use those facilities. They house such agencies as the Southern 5 Regional Planning, the Nature Conservancy, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, Southern 7, the Regional Office of Education, Head Start, the Child Care Center. So we are continuing to use those facilities that were once used by students here. A couple of memories and reminiscing a little bit, and the students that are here, and definitely the faculty will remember a few of these. We had an instructor here that his name was Dr. Pepper, and he was the spitting image of Colonel Sanders. And we were always told that he taught classes at 10, 2, and 4. And as I went through the old yearbooks, there he was, and I remember it like it was yesterday. The other thing some of you may remember, I think Dean Whitnell, Bill Whitnell, excuse me, made the announcement of the first big bond issue at a big dance where the Belltones were playing down at Century High School, and several hundred people attended. I can remember walking into the Student Center, which is, I'm not exactly sure what's there now, but when you would walk in, it housed the Student Center. There were vending machines, jukebox blasting the Jackson 5, and faculty offices down the hall, and it was just a wonderful time. I also remember as the first cultural event of the college, I believe it was the Media Club in the college brought Rod Serling, the creator, co-producer, writer of The Twilight Zone. brought him into the area to speak. At Century High School, there were several hundred people in attendance, and I'll never forget that as long as I live. And I think if you corner Dean Whitnell later, he can tell you the story about the ride back to the airport. The other thing that comes to mind is I think of 30 years ago and where we've come, and a lot of things have changed. A few things haven't changed. I was down at Hoots the other day, took my son to lunch, had a visit with Mrs. Parker, and with all respect, I don't think that place has changed a bit. The food was great. The food was just wonderful. The friendly atmosphere, I loved it. I felt like it was 30 years ago. But this time we got a ride back. We didn't hitchhike back, Bill. Let me just close by saying that Shawnee Community College has always maintained a policy of affordability, accessibility, and quality education. Some of us that came from maybe not so good socioeconomic backgrounds, some immaturity, the turmoil in our country, the Vietnam War, the assassinations that happened in those times, we were looking for a place to land. We weren't sure what we were going to do. But because of people like Dean Whitnell and the faculty and the advisors here at the community college, we were able to let someone show us an opportunity to succeed. And because I was able to come down here for a couple of years and then transfer to SIU and finish my education, it made me a better person. And our goal today, as I serve, this is my 10th year on the Board of Trustees. I'm one of the senior board members along with Don Patton, who I don't think could be here today. And we have, as well as the other board members, have always maintained a policy of affordability, accessibility, quality education close to home. And we are going to continue into the next millennium, and we are going to make some students better people, and we're going to make this a better place to live. Let me say thank you, Shawnee Community College, and congratulations, Shawnee Community College. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leslie. Next, I'd like to present Ms. Libby Rager, our President-elect of the Illinois Community College Faculty Association, Division Chairman, an English instructor, and our first Internet instructor to move us from 1970 to the present and beyond. Libby?
I'd begin by telling you about my first drive here to Shawnee Community College. I'll never forget, it was a late May afternoon on a Sunday in 1993. And while I knew all about Shawnee Community College, I knew kind of where it was. It seemed to me we kept driving and driving and going and going and turning and turning. 11 turns in all. And then finally here it was, this beautiful little college nestled in hills with this little lake, oddly enough in the shape of Illinois. And the thought that came to my mind then, and still does whenever I think of this school, is actually something from the Field of Dreams, the movie, Build It and They Will Come. I thought of the school that way then, and I, quite frankly, I still do. I quickly came to find out that while we are a quality education close to home, for students, staff, and faculty close to home requires some distance. I think it's the price that we pay for living in this beautiful rural part of Illinois. And then about 6 years ago, something amazing happened in, I think, the Illinois educational system. Technology came on very quickly to Illinois, and in fact, Shawnee Community College began by then offering its first 5 interactive television classes. And what that did was it subtracted or really eradicated physical distance for students who desired it, and it met the needs of a student population here at Shawnee Community College that we hadn't been able to serve before. And as I said, we begin with 5 classes, and I began with 1 composition class, and I felt, quite frankly, a little bit like I was one of the Jetsons. If they'd only got me Rosie the Robot maid, everything would have been wonderful. Today, we find ourselves still growing with interactive television classes. We now have 12 of them, and I now teach 4 ITV classes myself by choice. And it seems to work well for me, and I enjoy the visual impact. But more extraordinary to me, actually, is the birth of online instruction, which coincidentally also celebrates its own 30th anniversary this week. In fact, the birthday of the Internet is this Thursday on September 2nd. From the 2 classes that Shawnee Community College offered 2.5 years ago to now 13, we strive to meet the needs of a student population that requires more time flexibility in scheduling classes. And while online instruction isn't for all, certainly, all students, and I certainly wouldn't call it a panacea for higher education. For many students, it does allow them to take classes during office lunch hours, late at night, whenever and wherever they're scheduled. It will give them time for learning. And from my perspective, I occasionally get to teach a writing class at 5 o'clock in the morning in my own home, where I'm actually at my best, with a steaming hot cup of coffee, my bathrobe, and even bunny slippers. And I would say that happily, technology doesn't yet reveal that appearance to my students. Online students have sent me greeting cards. I've even received thank you notes from families of students in these classes, grateful that their loved ones could complete a degree in a manner that let them meet other life obligations. Students like Ryan Dillon have sent me jokes. I've received personal weekly inspirational messages from students like Steve Poole and Beth Poore. I've even received poetry and limericks from Renee Juarez. And excellent advice, by the way, on how to use technology from students and even students' families and spouses, advice that I can always use. I would end by saying that this school has certainly had an amazing journey for a school that I still see is built in certainly a field of dreams. And my only hope, quite frankly, is that the next technological innovation will be a way to eliminate those 11 turns for me that I have to make every day on my way to school here. In fact, I really would like you to find a way to please beam me on home. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Libby. Let me begin by noting the pride with which I speak of Shawnee Community College and the job it is doing in southernmost Illinois. The educational level of the area has risen from only 7% of the population having 2 or 3 years of college in 1970 to over 24% today. We have had a tremendous impact both educationally and in the economic development of this region. Look at the staff, campus, and range of programs offered, and you will see a model of what a community college can become. For a great many students, staff, and district residents, we are the well that someone else dug that quenches the educational thirst of southernmost Illinois. Our building project is a $9.2 million project, of which the state supplied $7.4 million, and which we matched $1.8 locally. We did this without selling bonds. That's a tribute to the board and the staff. The purposes of our program are first, in the area of life, health, and safety, we removed the soffit from the outside walkways and we're repairing the roofs. Secondly, in the area of parking, we're, to my right, putting in a 325 space parking lot. This will double our existing parking and, importantly, open up the campus for development as an total educational asset. Our educational center, which will be going into the left, will feature a 500-seat auditorium, of which the first 300 seats will be fixed and set up for operation of laptops at each seat. These laptops will be plugged into the internet and into the speaker so you can interact. We will have additionally 8 to 10 smart classrooms, a new biology lab, and on the second floor, near the outside viewing deck, a cyber cafe. So we're looking forward to this. We expect this new facility, because of the insulation, when we enclosed the outside walkways and we insulated the roofs, to have approximately the same heating load we have today. We're ready for the 21st century. However, I must also recognize that a great deal of our success here rests with many partners that we use to jointly leverage our resources. With the achievement of without the active support of our partners, we would not be so ready for the 21st century. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, let me express our heartfelt thanks to the Governor, to all the partner agencies, and to the individuals who have helped us to be an exceptional community college. Thank you. Our slogan, some of which you heard earlier, our quality education close to home, where the community and community college counts. Start reaching for your dreams, and the growing edge of southernmost Illinois. These tell part of our story. Shawnee Community College sees itself as being able to recognize the diversity of learner needs, serving all who can benefit. Shawnee sees itself as being able to provide cost-effective, comprehensive programs to meet those needs. Shawnee Community College sees itself as being able to balance productivity and the budget. Shawnee Community College sees itself as playing a catalytic role in the district's future. This year we've had several major triumphs. First, we got this building project underway. We've been in planning since 1993. Second, we got an enrollment decline last year halted and turned around. Third, we participated in the establishment of the Empowerment Zone with all its partners and the wonderful things it will do here. Next, we got our Gear Up grant. This was an important grant which will help us work with local school districts that are in the Empowerment Zone. We also are having our older adults program expand with the support of the Empowerment Zone. We anticipate being designated as a Center for Excellence by the USDA. We opened classes in East St. Louis at the East St. Louis Community College Center. We've continued to realize successes through our distance learning technology. And lastly, as the Workforce Investment Act begins, we've linked ourselves with the other community colleges to work effectively together. Shawnee Community College will continue to prosper by remaining a comprehensive, learner-centered community college that puts the needs of our students first, by adapting technology to the way we communicate and use information to provide access to knowledge, by focusing on the needs of the learner-student in the community, and by creating added value for our learners and communities through teamwork. If I was making a position statement for the college, I would say, look out 21st century. Shawnee Community College stands ready and willing to take on all challenges. We have served the region successfully for 30 years. We are here for the long haul. With the conclusion of the building project that we are celebrating today, we will have the flexible, state-of-the-art facility, technologically ready to create opportunities for our residents where there were none before. We are Shawnee Community College, the growing edge of southernmost Illinois. Thank you. Program over to Steve Heisner, our Board of Trustees chairperson. Steve.
There's one thing about Shawnee Community College, you better have a flexible hairdo. Wind is just an inherent part of what we do and what we've done for the last 30 years on this hill. And if you can survive the wind, I'll guarantee you can survive just about anything. It is certainly an extreme pleasure, it's a very humble privilege for me to stand here, having graduated from here in 1974, to come back 25 years later here and serve as chairman of the board of this wonderful institution. It's marvelous to look out and see a lot of the heritage that comes back to be with us today, and we are deeply indebted for all of the input, for all of the challenges that you have risen to and have met and exceeded. We're thankful for a wonderful, dedicated staff and faculty, and we feel as though that we have the best quality that you will find in any educational institution in the state of Illinois. We're thankful also, and I am, to serve with an excellent board of trustees, people that do not have hidden agendas, people that come to the table every board meeting with the good of this institution and the constituents of this district on their heart and on their mind. And it's been a privilege to serve with them through this past 2 years. I could, as Wesley have done, tell you some things that could make your hair stand on end, wind or no wind. And certainly, having been a part of what went on here for 2 years, played for my own college graduation when it was just about as windy as this right out on the hill, where we all used to pray and hold our breath that it wouldn't rain on us until we could get through that 3 or 4 hours worth of commencement on a Sunday afternoon. There are so many that have been dedicated to making this institution what it is. And some of them and those that they represented are on the platform with me today. I would like to introduce 2 of them, and then there will be 3 that will come up and speak to you just briefly. We're very pleased to have with us representing Senator Peter Fitzgerald's office, Sarah Daniels. And I know Sarah has been introduced once before, but again, would you please give her and the Senator a round of applause, please.
Also, we are very happy to have with us today someone for the last 25 years that has been a force in Southern Illinois in many capacities. Today, he has come back to be with us again, helping to represent, along with Mrs. Ryan, the governor's office. And please recognize Mr. Bob Winchester. As Dr. Siffel said before, we have one gentleman on the platform that's been a very special friend to this district and this community for a long time. It was his hand that made all of these things in part possible, and I'd like to invite him to come to the podium, if he would, to speak to us for a few moments at this time. Former Representative Clyde Schultz.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You know, I was a little disappointed a moment ago. I think we can give the First Lady a larger Southern Illinois welcome than we have done. Let's have it. As the First Lady said a moment ago, I have been a close and personal friend of the Ryan family for many years. I was partially instrumental in having George Ryan come to Southern Illinois his very first trip, and he brought young George with him. I took Bob Winchester and others, and I took him goose hunting down at the Shawnee Goose and Duck Hunting Club down at Ware, Illinois. He liked it so much, I think he's been back ever since. And George Jr. killed his very first mallard duck on that trip. We had motorhomes and buses that took those legislators that come down, and there was several, probably 100, 125 legislators attended this party, and we toured them throughout Southern Illinois. And I can say this from personal experience, that George Ryan, the present governor of the state of Illinois, became a dedicated ex officio citizen of Southern Illinois. I think that you will be happy and proud of the way that Governor Ryan will understand the problems of Southern Illinois. I know for a fact of his deep-seated interest in Southern Illinois. I can well recall my very first meeting as far as the, not Community College Act is concerned, but the Junior College Act was concerned. Representative Eugenia Chapman and myself met with Governor Otto Kerner in the governor's mansion, and out of that meeting came the Junior College Act. And years later, Dr. Claus invited me to the commencement exercises and to make the principal address. I had the distinct honor and privilege and experience not only of making that commencement address, but my youngest daughter, I had the pleasure to give her her diploma here at Shawnee College. Doesn't happen to too many fathers. I am happy that Representative Willard and Representative Fowler are here today, so that I can publicly thank especially Larry of his deep-seated interest in furthering the educational causes of Southern Illinois. You can't go to Springfield and not go to the Appropriations Committee and find these gentlemen
passing upon legislation that has an effect upon higher education in Southern Illinois. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm so happy to be with the First Lady, and I'm going to be happy again Saturday when I sit down with her husband and rehash old Southern Illinois stories. Thank you very much.
Shawnee Community College has had the privilege over the last couple of years to host some legislative breakfasts that we feel have enhanced our ability as administrators and board members and faculty to communicate directly in an informal setting with those elected officials from our various districts. We're happy to have two of the gentlemen with us today that are very faithful members in attending those events. And first of all, I'd like to invite to the podium Representative Jim Fowler.
Thank you, Steve. I might correct one statement you made a while ago. Not all of us suffer the hair problem in the wind that you mentioned. But truly it is an honor for me to be here today on this podium with so many distinguished guests. And I want to thank Dr. Ludwig and his staff for extending the invitation to me. But I just want to take very few minutes today and comment on the importance of community colleges throughout the state of Illinois. I don't think I have to stress that here. They're a very valuable asset to any community. And
I think we've got somebody that can work with us in an effective way. And the commitment that I have to education. I have served on the elementary and secondary education as well as the higher education committee ever since I've been there. I will continue to do so. I don't represent this area, but no one's going to deny me the opportunity to come to where I believe I have a right. And that's the people of Southern Illinois and looking out for the best interests of all. I've always believed that this is just as much my community college as it is when I go to John A. Logan or to Southeastern or to Wren Lake. I'm here to tell you that Southern Illinois stands together. Together we can make a difference. With the kind of opportunities that you have here, your future will be better.
Willard. And certainly before we close, we want to provide an opportunity to speak to you briefly this afternoon. The leadership of an institution goes a long way in taking that institution to the meeting of its goals. I am very privileged and honored not to introduce to you, but just to say hello one more time to a great friend of ours. He is a great friend of this college, and that is the immediate past president and president emeritus of Shawnee Community College, Dr. Jack Hill. It's so good to see all of my friends again here, both on the platform and under the tent and beyond the tent. And I think I can say today what I said to the Board of Trustees back in 1991 when I became president. I said I always wanted to be in a place where all the saints live. Boy, it's good to be back with all the saints today. I think the saints are responsible for this great weather, don't you? Well, what a great day this is, and I remember if we worked with you to plan for this expansion that was so badly needed because of the enrollment increase. I think that of all the work that you have done to bring students here and to keep them here and to give them opportunities, and then I think when these buildings are completed, of the thousands and thousands of students who will be coming here and will receive an opportunity in life that they might not have elsewise received. This is a great day. I'm very proud for you. Congratulations. It's good to be a small part of it. Thank you. In closing, I'd like to say thanks to the platform again, but most of all, thanks to all of you for the wonderful support that you give to us. It makes it a joy to serve. We hope that you'll enjoy the rest of the festivities today and eat lots of Bears barbecue and lots of Dippin' Dots. We'll see you later. Thanks.
You're kidding me. All right, I'll try to see if I can find that.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Tourism company.
Did Gene say you were going to use start mode? I got the keys on your desk.
Very good.
Okay.